Hello students, welcome back to our course. In the last few classes we have been doing some practice problems which involves the control structures if, else, elif, then loops which were while and for loops. So we saw a few examples and we practiced some questions on how to deal with certain scenarios, how to use these control structures in our day-to-day life. Okay, so in this class I have a complete new module which is function and modules. So we have started with this topic. We know what functions and modules are, but again I'll give a brief recap of the functions first of all, starting with the functions. So what a function is, it is nothing but some certain lines of codes which intend to perform a particular task, right? So what is written over here? It is a block of code designed to perform a specific or well-defined task. Why do you think we need functions? For example, if you want to develop a website, right, you need to have certain sections. The first section, under the first section, what you do, you write a function named order a pizza. Once you order a pizza, then you move to another function which says bake a pizza, then deliver the pizza. So these are various functions that you have if you want to bake a pizza. So if I club all of these in one code and I do not make certain functions to order a pizza or to deliver a pizza, what will happen? I will have a very long and elaborated code. How about if an error occurs at a particular line? It will be very difficult to debug our entire code. So what is the best practice? It's to keep our entire program or keep whatever application we are developing, to manage that application with the help of various modules or functions in general. Alright, so again it is easy to debug, and again if you have a certain piece of code that can be reused again and again. For example, you have ordered a pizza, and if you want to again have some, if you have some another company, and you can use that same order function in for that another application also, right? So here we are. These are the two advantages. The number one states that it improves the modularity. The function allows us to break down the program into smaller manageable tasks, again as I've told, and then you can reuse that particular function for another application also, right? And what are the types of the Python functions? The number one category has already been discussed, which are the built-in functions. And the second category that we'll do in today's class, these are the user-defined functions. These functions have been created by the user to perform some specific tasks, right? Now let us see, how do you define a function, right? I know these are certain lines of code, these are statements, and definitely you need to club those statements under the category of a function. How do you do it? You use a function, and starting off with the keyword def, you use a keyword def, then the function name, and along with it you put the parameters under these parentheses, right? And then you write your code, and then you can have this return statement if you want to return certain value back to your original code. It is completely optional. You can either write it and ignore it. And yeah, we'll do this using some example. Now let us come over here. I will have another, let's make another file, Python file. functions.py. So students, let us see how do you do functions. Now in order to define a function, I'm using the def keyword, starting off with the def func. Now in this piece of code, what I'll do, I'll make a function which adds two numbers, right? Very simple, func1 a comma b, right? And then I'm using the return statement, return a plus b, as simple as this, right? Okay, so this is your function, very simple, 2 lines of code. And in order to revoke this function, what do? You can either take the inputs from the user a int enter inside the input function, use enter value of a, okay. So just take values of a and b from the user, and for the result just call this function and put these values a and b which you have taken from the user. Then later on you can print the result is result. Okay, here we go. Now let us see. Right, enter value of a, 2 and 3. Okay, the result is 5. So we could have done this in inside our main program, but we have a function for it. And yes, and what is the fun of doing it? Even if I want to use this function and in another way, for example, how about if let's create another function. Let's say def func2, which will take again those same values, and it will return a minus b, right? It will return a minus b. So for result 1, what you can call func2, again the same values, substitute the same values a comma b, and the result you can put here result 1 is result is result 1, and the add result, just simply write the add result is a result. The subtract result is this one. Okay, let's see what do we have now. Let's save this file. Okay, let's call it again. So this is how it goes, students. Similarly, the way we did the addition function, we have performed subtraction, and then what we can have is we can have another function which will multiply and then divide. So what we have made, we have made our program modular, which means we have divided the various functionalities into different functions. So you can make now, what should be your next step is to just convert the simple calculator program which we have done a few classes back, to convert that calculator program to use certain functions, use those functions and convert that program into more modular, just make it more modular, right? So this is very basic example, the way you have dealt with plus and minus. What you can do is again deal with multiplication and division operators, and yes, you can convert that calculator app also into a similar way, right? I hope this is very fine for all of you. Now I'll delete this entire program. I will show you another function, and I expect you to tell me what exactly is going on inside this function. Okay, so I have this function 1, I have nothing passed over here, and then I'll print first step of func1. Okay, so once I'm done, I will have another function. I'm creating function inside function, function 2. Now I'll print another statement, Now this is function inside func1. Alright, so once I am done with it, I am printing out of func2. Alright, so this is how it goes, students. So what I've done in this scenario, I have this nested function, concept of nested functions, and how about I call this function func1. I'm calling this function, and here I'm printing last line of code, right? So yeah, this is how it goes. So what I expect from all of you to just predict what will be the output of this program, right? I have not called function2, but I have just called function1, and let me know what will be the final output. I'm saving this, and yes, let's see what we have. Okay, so how it goes, students, since I'm calling function1, this is how the function1 entirely looks like when I'm calling the function1. So first of all, here it will go the first step of function1. So do you think this function will be called? Do you think this function will be called? No, the reason being we have not called this function2, right? We have not called this function2, that is why this func2 is not being printed. Okay, so now you need to tell me, how do you think we should call this function2? Okay, and so this is the first line which is being printed, and this is the second line which is being printed, and this is the last line of code. So what I expect from all of you is to tell me how this function2 will be defined. Alright, so for now that's it, and I will give you its solution. How do you do it? How do you print, or how do you call this function2 in the next class? Okay, and I hope you will complete this homework till tomorrow's class. Okay, before tomorrow's class. So I'll see you. Bye bye. Thank you.